Have you ever met someone who plays by all the rules? Honest, hardworking, shows up early, stays late, helps everyone, never brags, never cuts corners, and still somehow, they're always the ones struggling? You know the type. They carry themselves with humility, take responsibility when things go wrong, give others credit, and never demand attention. And yet, their life doesn't move. Same job, same paycheck, no promotions, no breakthroughs. They're respected but invisible. Meanwhile, the people who lie, cheat, manipulate, charm their way into rooms, they're not just surviving, they're winning. They rise faster, make more, get applauded for results they didn't even earn. And you sit there wondering, what's the point of doing the right thing when it gets you nowhere? It feels like there's this invisible rulebook nobody talks about, one that punishes decency and rewards performance, no matter how fake. And maybe that's the part we don't like to say out loud. In this world, being honest doesn't make you safe. It makes you easy to control. It makes you predictable, and predictable people get used. You become the one who always does the right thing, while others climb on your back to get ahead. You become the guy who carries the load, but never gets the credit. And when you break alone. So, why is it that we praise honesty and yet never promote it? Why do we teach kids to be good, but in adulthood, we reward the cunning ones? The answer isn't just personal, it's structural. In environments where power decides outcomes, morality without strength turns into servitude. You don't climb the ladder because you're good. You climb because you're effective. If your values don't come with strategy, the world won't honor them. It'll bury them. Look around. History is littered with people who stood for something real, people with unshakable principles and rare integrity, and most of them died poor, unnoticed, erased. Why? Because they had virtue, but no shield. They had conscience, but no leverage. And in a world designed around survival, not fairness, they were devoured. Because the brutal truth is this: integrity without armor is just an invitation to be used. So, ask yourself, really ask, what if being honest without power is one of the most dangerous combinations in the world? What if the people we see as the backbone of society, the teachers, the helpers, the quiet leaders, aren't just being overlooked, they're being sacrificed? This video is not about telling you to become dishonest. It's about waking up. It's about asking, how do I stay true to myself without getting trampled? How do I protect what's good in me in a world that rewards the opposite? And to do that, we need to go deeper. We need to talk about psychology. We need to talk about strategy. And we need to revisit one of the darkest, most brutally honest philosophers who ever lived, Arthur Schopenhauer. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit, but we all feel it. In today's world, honesty isn't valued, it's exploited. It doesn't elevate you, it makes you a target. If you're always transparent, always dependable, always doing what's right, then you're the perfect person to be taken advantage of. You're the one others lean on while they make the real moves behind closed doors. And this isn't just a gut feeling, it's backed by science. A 2018 study out of Duke University found that people with high moral standards are more likely to be placed in low-power roles. Let that sink in. The more ethical you are, the less leadership you're offered. Why? Because we subconsciously associate morality with obedience, not authority. We expect the honest person to take orders, absorb the blame, keep things running smoothly, not lead. And the cost of that mindset? Devastating. Let me tell you about someone most people have never heard of, because that's exactly the point. His name was John Boyd, one of the greatest minds the US military ever produced, a fighter pilot, a strategist, a man who reshaped the way modern aerial combat works. He was brilliant, effective, and painfully honest, and that's what ruined him. Boyd didn't play politics. He didn't flatter his superiors. He didn't tweak his ideas to please powerful egos. He told the truth, always, and for that, they buried him. He was sabotaged, sidelined, locked away in the Pentagon while others stole his ideas and rose through the ranks. He died broke, no medals, no big send-off. Just a few loyal warriors who remembered what he stood for. That's what happens when you bring truth to a power game and think it'll be enough. It's not. In Boyd's case, honesty didn't make him a legend. It made him a liability. And his story isn't rare, it's everywhere, silent, repeating, and tragic. So when we tell the next generation to just be good and work hard, we're not preparing them for life. We're preparing them to be sacrificed. We're handing them a moral compass with no map, no shield, no plan. What they need is not just goodness. They need strength, not violence, awareness, not manipulation, strategy. Because in the real world, honesty without power isn't noble, it's vulnerable. So let's go deeper, because this idea that goodness without strategy leads to suffering isn't just modern, it's ancient, it's philosophical, and no one unpacked it more ruthlessly than Arthur Schopenhauer. He didn't sugarcoat life. He didn't dress it up with spiritual cliches or motivational fluff. He looked straight into the dark and said, "This is it. Life isn't fair. It's a battlefield. Now, what are you going to do about it?" Schopenhauer believed in something he called the will to life, not willpower like motivation. Number will as in the blind, primal animal instinct to survive. Everything in nature, humans, animals, empires, corporations, is driven by one basic force: stay alive, expand, dominate. That's the real engine of the world, not kindness, not morality, not virtue, raw, ruthless will. And in that world, guess who wins? Not the honest, not the generous, not the selfless. The ones who serve that will the best. The faster, the louder, the more adaptable. The ones who understand that playing fair doesn't move the needle. Being effective does. Being sharp does. Being ready does. In Schopenhauer's view, the more intelligent you are, the more clearly you see this truth. And the more sensitive you are, the more it hurts. Because once you wake up to the reality that integrity doesn't guarantee success, it changes you, it hardens you, or it breaks you. He once said, "The more intelligent, the more sensitive. The more sensitive, the more alone." And he was right. When you're honest in a dishonest system, you carry weight no one sees. You feel pain others don't even notice. Because you're awake, and the world rewards sleep. But here's the danger. Being awake without armor is spiritual suicide. Seeing clearly without knowing how to move, that's a recipe for constant loss. You need clarity, but you also need structure, discipline, boundaries. You need to protect your conscience like it's sacred, because it is. But that doesn't mean letting it be used like a doormat. So many honest people walk into this world believing if they just keep being good, eventually the world will notice. But that's a fairy tale. The system isn't designed to notice your goodness. It's designed to exploit it, unless you give it a reason not to. Here's the real tragedy. Most good people aren't crushed by accident. They're crushed by belief. They walk into a rigged game and assume fair play will change the rules. It doesn't. And there are 3 core beliefs that keep good people stuck in this trap. Belief 1, justice is automatic. That if you do the right thing long enough, rewards will come. That's a lie. Justice doesn't happen on its own. It's built. It's enforced. It's the result of power plus principle. Without power, morality is just wishful thinking. If you're not in a position to back your values, you're not being just. You're just being used. Belief 2, conflict is wrong. That's standing up for yourself, drawing lines, pushing back. That's being difficult. So instead, good people stay quiet. They avoid confrontation. They let others take advantage because they confuse self-respect with selfishness. But silence isn't noble, it's surrender. If you can't confront the people who exploit your decency, you're not kind, you're compliant. Belief 3, saying no is selfish. So many good people feel guilty for setting boundaries. They say yes to more work, more responsibility, more pressure. Yes to covering for others. Yes to carrying weight that isn't theirs. Until there's nothing left. And still, they keep giving. Why? Because they've been trained to believe that denying others is wrong. But when you say yes to everyone else, you're saying no to yourself. And if your kindness has no limits, it will become your downfall. These 3 beliefs, justice is automatic, conflict is bad, and saying no is selfish, create a trap. A quiet, respectable, deadly trap. Because it makes your goodness available to anyone who wants to take advantage of it. At some point, the honest person has to wake up and realize you're not losing because you're good. You're losing because you thought goodness was enough. It's not. In this world, kindness without strength becomes servitude. Conscience without strategy becomes a leash. So the question isn't, can you be good? The real question is, can you be good without being broken? And that's what we're going to tackle next. Because this isn't about abandoning your integrity. It's about learning how to protect it. Coming up next, how principled people can defend their values without losing their edge. How to build presence. How to carry truth like a weapon, not a burden. So, let's get practical. Because now that we know the truth, that being good isn't enough unless it's paired with strength, the next step is learning how to be both. How do you walk through a corrupt, competitive world with your head held high and your values still intact? You don't need to lie. You don't need to cheat. But you do need to lead. And leading starts by doing what most honest people never do. Building leverage. Step 1. Turn your integrity into a weapon, not a weakness. Too many good people treat their values like a secret. They carry them quietly, thinking that's enough. But if you don't speak your truth boldly, the world will walk right over you. So, make it loud. Let people know exactly what you stand for. Build a reputation so solid, so consistent, so rare that when others fake trust, you are trust. When people need realness in a world of actors, you become the anchor. That's not softness, that's strength. Step 2. Build value that no one can replace. Stop trying to be liked. Start being necessary. When everyone else is playing politics, chasing attention, or faking confidence, you focus on being excellent. Master your craft, build rare skills, deliver results nobody else can. Because when you become essential, your values stop being a liability. They become your foundation, something people have to respect, because without you, they fall. And then there's step 3, the hardest and most powerful of them all. Become dangerous in your clarity, not cruel, not cold, but so rooted in your principles, so mentally strong that no one can shake you. Your presence should speak before you open your mouth. Your silence should carry weight. Your no should echo. You don't need to raise your voice. You just need to know who you are and walk like it. This is what people like Viktor Frankl understood. A man who survived a concentration camp and still held on to his values, not by becoming hard and bitter, but by anchoring himself in meaning. He suffered, but he didn't let suffering define him. Instead, he turned it into legacy. He didn't abandon his principles. He taught them, shared them, lived them. Or, look at Theodore Roosevelt. That man didn't hide his ambition. He didn't apologize for being strong, but he also didn't abandon his moral compass. He said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." And he meant it, quiet presence, backed by force. Real strength doesn't yell, it doesn't threaten, it just is. Because that's what this all comes down to. Not just being honest, but being honest and powerful. Not through manipulation, but through self-possession. Because when you pair integrity with discipline, with awareness, with strategy, you become the kind of person who can't be moved, who doesn't flinch under pressure, who speaks truth and owns the room. And let me be clear, you don't have to play dirty to win, but you do have to understand the game. Because when you understand it, when you see it for what it really is, you stop being the pawn. You become the player. That's what Schopenhauer gave us. Not comfort, not hope, but clarity. He didn't tell us the world was fair. He didn't tell us the good would be rewarded. He showed us how brutal it can be, how those with the most conscience often carry the most pain. But he also gave us the power to decide what to do with that pain. And here's the truth no one wants to hear. You are not losing because you're too kind. You're losing because you were taught that kindness means staying quiet, that being good means being passive, that standing for something means standing aside. It doesn't. That's not virtue. That's conditioning. That's what broken systems teach strong people to keep them tame. But the world doesn't need more tame men. It doesn't need more compliant souls trying to fix things from the sidelines. What it needs is a new kind of leader, someone who is kind but not naive, honest but not predictable, principled but not afraid to draw lines, someone who can walk into a room full of wolves and not lose their humanity, but also not get eaten alive. Because the people who change the world aren't the loudest. They're not the most ruthless. They're the ones who pair depth with discipline, conscience with clarity. The ones who are unshakable not because they're perfect, but because they've built themselves to withstand chaos. So, if you've been feeling tired from doing the right thing, if you've felt invisible because you refuse to lie, if you're wondering why honesty feels like a burden in a world built on performance, I want you to know something. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are real. And in a world obsessed with image, being real will always feel heavy. But you don't have to carry that weight alone. You can protect what matters. You can sharpen your mind. You can walk through fire and not lose yourself. Let your integrity speak quietly, but let your presence hit like thunder. Because once you stop waiting for the world to reward your goodness, and you start learning how to move with that goodness, you stop being a victim of the system. You start shaping it. If this message hit home, if you're tired of playing small when you know you were built for more, subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment with the word unstoppable if you watch this all the way through. We're building something different here, not just a channel, but a movement of men who lead with power and principle. You in?